Foreclosure notice, our house, my house, the one I'd spent 23 years turning into a home. He took out a second mortgage without your knowledge, Sarah explains. Technically illegal, but he forged your signature quite convincingly. A knock interrupts us. Uncle Robert enters, his face grim. The SEC filing just came through. Tom's company is under investigation for financial irregularities. How bad? I ask. Criminal charges bad? He sits heavily. The Peterson merger was a smokescreen. The whole company's about to implode. My phone buzzes. Emily. Mom, where are you? Dad's acting weird. He's packing up his office stuff. I'll call you back, sweetheart. I look at Sarah. How much time do we have? Hours, maybe, once the SEC announcement goes public. Foreclosure notice. Our house. My house. The one I'd spent 23 years turning into a home. He took out a second mortgage without your knowledge, Sarah explains. Technically illegal, but he forged your signature quite convincingly. A knock interrupts us. Uncle Robert enters, his face grim. The SEC filing just came through. Tom's company is under investigation for financial irregularities. How bad? I ask. Criminal charges bad. He sits heavily. The Peterson merger was a smokescreen. The whole company's about to implode. My phone buzzes. Emily. Mom, where are you? Dad's acting weird. He's packing up his office stuff. I'll call you back, sweetheart. I look at Sarah. How much time do we have? Hours, maybe. Once the SEC announcement goes public, I remember Mom's last visit to the bank, how insistent she was about updating the paperwork. She knew. Somehow she knew. My phone rings, Tom's face appearing on screen. I answer on speaker. Darling? His voice oozes charm. I need a favor. Your mother's safety deposit box. I need to inventory the contents for the estate. Could you meet me at the bank? Sarah shakes her head violently. I'm rather busy today, I say carefully. Perhaps tomorrow? It really needs to be now, for legal purposes. A pause. Unless you don't trust me? The facade cracks slightly on those last words, a hint of desperation bleeding through. Of course I trust you. I lie smoothly. But I'm having lunch with Emily. Why don't you join us? We can go to the bank afterward. Emily's not answering my calls. That's odd. She's sitting right here. I watch Sarah frantically typing on her laptop. Tom, is everything okay at work? The line goes dead. He's panicking. Uncle Robert says quietly, that makes him dangerous. Sarah looks up from her laptop. Account freeze orders are processing. I've notified the SEC about potential flight risk, but we need to move fast on the safety deposit box, if there's anything valuable. My phone chimes again, a text from an unknown number. Your mother knew what he was. She left something for you. Back of the box, don't let him find it first. Aunt Margaret, I breathe. She must have been with Mom when... We need to go, Sarah interrupts. Now, before he figures out we're on to him, I stand gathering my purse. What about Emily? I'll pick her up, Uncle Robert offers. Take her to our house until this blows over. As we rush to the elevator, another text arrives from Tom. I tried to protect you from this, remember that. The threat in those words chills me, but underneath the fear something else burns. Rage, pure and clarifying. He stole from my mother, tried to steal her last gift to me. Used our daughter as leverage, Sarah. I say, as we reach her car. Forget playing defense, I want everything. The house, the accounts, his reputation, everything. She smiles grimly. Now that's what I wanted to hear. The safety deposit box lies open before me. Empty except for a single envelope. Mom's jewelry. Generations of family history gone. The bank manager shifts uncomfortably behind me. Mr. Mitchell accessed the box an hour ago, she explains. He had the proper documentation, forged documentation, Sarah corrects sharply. She's already on her phone alerting authorities. My hands shake as I open the envelope. Inside, a handwritten note from my mother. My dearest, if you're reading this, Tom got here first. But remember, I always taught you to keep your real treasures closer to home. Love, Mom. My phone buzzes. Emily's text makes my blood freeze. Dad's at the house. He's acting strange, says we need to talk. Sarah grabs my arm. Don't. We'll call the police. He's with my daughter. I'm already moving. Call them, but I'm going. The drive home is a blur. I find them in Tom's study. Emily perched nervously on the leather sofa. Tom standing by the window, still in his office clothes but somehow disheveled, undone. Family meeting? I ask, keeping my voice steady. He turns and I barely recognize him. His usual polished facade has cracked, revealing something desperate underneath. You've been busy today. So have you. How much did Mum's jewelry fetch? Emily's sharp intake of breath tells me she didn't know. Dad, you didn't. I did what I had to do. He moves to his desk, opens a drawer. To protect this family. By stealing? Gambling away our savings? Having affairs? Affairs? Emily stands. What affairs? Tom slams the drawer shut. Enough. I had a plan. Everything was under control until you started interfering. Control? I laugh, and it sounds foreign even to me. Is that what you call forging my signature? Emptying our daughter's college fund? Emily makes a small, wounded sound. My college fund? I was going to replace it, Tom insists. The Peterson merger was a fraud, I finish. Like everything else about you. He moves suddenly, and something glints in his hand. Mom's favorite pearl necklace. One piece left. Thought, maybe we could start over. I'll get help, counseling. Cut whatever you want. The pearls catch the light, and I remember Mom wearing them at my wedding, her eyes full of concern she tried to hide. She knew even then, didn't she? Whatever I want. I step closer. I want the last 23 years back. I want my mother to have died knowing her grandson's education was secure. I want... Mom! Emily's voice cuts through my rage. He's crying. And he is. Tom Mitchell, master of manipulation, stands before us with tears streaming down his face. For a moment I almost weaken. Then I see his other hand moving toward his pocket. Emily, I say carefully, go to Uncle Robert's house, now. But, now? She hesitates, then runs. Tom doesn't try to stop her. You know what's in my pocket? He asks quietly. Plane ticket? Fake passport? He pulls out his phone. One button. One call to my friends at the SEC. They'd love to know about Uncle Robert's creative accounting from the 90s. Aunt Margaret's tax issues. The family's not as clean as you think. The bottom drops out of my world. You destroy them too? I'm already destroyed. His smile is terrible. Might as well make it a family affair. My phone buzzes. Sarah probably with the police. But it's too late. Then I see his other hand moving toward his pocket. Emily, I say carefully, go to Uncle Robert's house. Now. But now. She hesitates, then runs. Tom doesn't try to stop her. You know what's in my pocket? He asks quietly. Plane ticket? Fake passport? He pulls out his phone. One button, one call to my friends at the SEC. They'd love to know about Uncle Robert's creative accounting from the 90s. Aunt Margaret's tax issues. The family's not as clean as you think. The bottom drops out of my world. You'd destroy them too. I'm already destroyed. His smile is terrible. Might as well make it a family affair. My phone buzzes. Sarah probably with the police. But it's too late. I sink into his chair, pearls clutched in my fist, wondering if revenge is worth the price of becoming him. 23 hours and 47 minutes after Tom walked out, I find Mom's old recipe box in the back of the kitchen cabinet. Inside, wrapped in yellowed newspaper, lies a small red USB drive. My hands shake as I plug it into my laptop. Folders appear, dozens of them meticulously labeled with dates going back 5 years. For my mother, financial records, email screenshots, photos of Tom with various women, bank transfers, gambling receipts. My mother, the quiet gardener who never touched a computer, had been building a case against my husband for years. My phone rings. Sirajan. Vanessa, we found him. Private airfield outside the city. Flight plan filed for Buenos Aires. 13 minutes left of his head start. And the SEC evidence against my family? Bluff. We checked. There's nothing. He played you. The recipe box feels heavy in my hands. How fast can you get to the airfield? Already on my way. Police too. I grab my keys, the USB drive secure in my pocket. Tell them to wait. I need 5 minutes with him first. The private terminal is small, lit by fluorescent lights that make everything look sickly. Tom stands at the counter, arguing with the clerk. He's wearing the same suit from yesterday, but somehow he's aged a decade. Problems with your flight? I ask. He spins, face twisting. You're early. Mom always said punctuality was a virtue. I hold up the USB drive. Along with keeping good records, the color drains from his face. What is that? Everything. Mom knew what you were doing. Every transaction, every affair, every lie. I step closer. She was protecting me all along. The jewelry in the safety deposit box? A trap. She knew you'd go for it first. He lunges for the drive. I sidestep easily. He's not as quick as he used to be. It's over, Tom. SEC agents are outside. Police, too. You promised 24 hours. His voice cracks. You're just like me, breaking promises when it's convenient. No. I set Mom's recipe box on the counter. I'm like my mother, patient, thorough, and done with your games. He laughs, a hollow sound. What do you want? Money. I can get more. I want you to know what it feels like to realize everything you built was a lie, that someone you trusted was watching, waiting, collecting evidence of every mistake. His face hardens. You really think you can survive without me? You're nothing but a housewife with what? A daughter you gambled away the future of? A mother who outsmarted you? A family who actually loves me? I open the recipe box. Look inside. He hesitates, then peers in. Among the recipe cards lies a single sheet of paper, Mom's last bank statement, the one showing her real account, with enough zeros to make his eyes widen. She left everything to me, I say quietly, the day before she died, almost like she knew what was coming. You bitch. He grabs for the box, but freezes at the sound of doors opening behind us. Time's up, I say as Sarah Chun enters with 2 FBI agents. Oh, and Tom? The pearls were fake. Mom sold the real ones years ago to pay for Emily's secret trust fund. They lead him away, his protests echoing through the terminal. Sarah squeezes my shoulder. You okay? I look down at the recipe box. Generations of family wisdom, love disguised as instructions for pot roast and apple pie. Mom's final gift wasn't the money or the evidence. It was the reminder that real strength comes from protecting what matters, not destroying what hurts you. I'm better than okay, I say, closing the box gently. I'm free. Outside, the sun rises over the airfield. Somewhere across town, Emily is safe with Uncle Robert and Aunt Margaret, probably making breakfast and planning her future. A future secured by a grandmother who saw everything and said nothing. Until exactly the right moment, Mom always did have perfect timing. The garden blooms exactly as Mom planned it. Late autumn roses climb the trellis, their deep red petals catching the morning light. I kneel in the soft earth, transplanting the seedlings she started in her greenhouse, her last project, now mine to finish. Emily appears beside me, 2 steaming mugs in hand. The prosecutor called. Dad took the plea deal. I accept the coffee, breathing in its warmth. How do you feel about that, honestly? She settles onto the garden bench. Relieved. No trial means no more secrets coming out, no more pretending. The morning paper lies folded on the bench, Tom's guilty plea relegated to a small column on page 6, the mighty falling quietly without fanfare. Uncle Robert says the restitution payments will start next month, Emily continues, not that we need them. No, I agree, thinking of Mom's hidden accounts, the careful planning that ensured our security. But it's not about the money, it's about consequences, she finishes. The wisdom in her voice makes my chest ache. She's grown so much these past few months. I brush dirt from my hands and join her on the bench. I found something in Mom's study last night. I think you should see it. From my pocket, I pull out a small envelope, inside a photograph. Emily at 5 years old, perched on Mom's lap while they plant marigolds. Behind them, partially hidden by the greenhouse door, Tom stands watching, his expression a mix of confusion and something like fear. Didn't she? She knew a lot of things. I touched the photograph gently, including how to play the long game. A car pulls into the driveway. Emily's new boyfriend, Michael, right on time for Sunday brunch. He emerges carrying a folder of tax documents, research for Uncle Robert's case against Tom's former business partners. Emily stands, brushing off her jeans. Speaking of long games, Michael found something interesting in Dad's old company records. Want to hear about it over breakfast? I watch her walk toward him, confident and purposeful. She has her grandmother's steel beneath her gentle exterior, a quiet strength that doesn't need to announce itself. The morning mail sits unopened on the kitchen counter. On top, a letter from the prison where Tom awaits sentencing. I don't need to read it to know what it contains. More explanations, more justifications, more attempts to rewrite our history. I feed it into the garden shredder, letting the pieces scatter across Mom's flower beds as mulch. She would appreciate the symbolism, turning poison into fertilizer, decay into growth. Inside, Emily and Michael spread papers across the breakfast table, while Aunt Margaret pours coffee. Uncle Robert peers at financial statements through his reading glasses, making notes in the margins. "Look at this," Michael says as I enter, pointing to a highlighted section. "The pattern goes back further than we thought. There are others involved, bigger players. I should feel triumph, knowing we've uncovered more evidence, more ways to ensure justice. Instead, I feel something quieter, a peaceful certainty that Mom would approve of this moment, not out of revenge or justice, but because her kitchen is alive with the hum of family, working together, protecting what truly matters." The recipe box sits on the windowsill, above the sink, bathed in the soft glow of the morning light. Inside, tucked between the familiar cards for pot roast and apple pie, are the seeds of my mother's legacy, waiting to be rediscovered. It's not just the evidence that exposed Tom for what he was, but something deeper, the wisdom to understand when to fight and when to grow. Emily's laughter rings out, light and unguarded, as she reacts to something Michael says. Across the room, Aunt Margaret exchanges a knowing glance with Uncle Robert, their bond a silent testament to shared resilience. Through the window, the garden stretches out, its blooms unfolding slowly and steadily. The colors are vibrant, defiant. I think of Tom, confined in his prison cell, surrounded by cold concrete and unyielding steel. He tried to clip our roots, but he couldn't stop us from flourishing, because true revenge isn't about destruction. It's about thriving, about building something beautiful in the face of ruin. Mom always understood that. She knew how to nurture growth, whether it was in her garden or in the people she loved, and she always had the best gardening advice. If you want to hear more stories filled with resilience, family, and unexpected turns, don't forget to subscribe to SoraBook. Join us for more intriguing tales in our upcoming videos.